During the past 4 months, I've been building an equestrian SaaS. I know it's a bit strange, but this is what I've been working on. And I had Claude design 147 screens for the app I am building. And I came across the fact that Claude is shipping garbage UX. The same mistakes will keep coming back systematically. So I studied the patterns and I taught Claude its own mistakes so that it stops reproducing them. I am about to demonstrate how I do it, and I will give you every rule that I have created. Those are rules that I am using directly inside the knowledge bases that our agents are evolving in, and let's see how everything works. So I wanted to add a simple feature inside the app, which is when manager are creating the schedule for the week, they wanted to be able to notify every member of the stable that the schedule was being available. So I added this little bell right there, and when you click on it, then you can choose the week for which you want to notify everyone inside the stable that the program has been uploaded. But this is the actual version inside the app, and this is the version I got when I asked Claude to do it in the first place. Everything looks the same, the bell is right there, but when I click on it, I just get this message that he's asking me if I want to leave without saving, and I don't really understand in the first place. I was just like, this AI has hallucinated once again. And then I click on leave, and the form was opening. And then I understand that it wasn't a bug and it wasn't random. The fact is, Claude didn't look at the user. Claude has just looked at the artifact. It saw a form and a button that is leaving the form. So he fired the rule it has seen 1,000 times, which is when you are leaving a form, you need an "Are you sure" button. And what Claude never did, which is pretty logical because he is an AI, is step into the user's shoe and ask the only question that matters here. Is there actually anything to lose? A language model doesn't picture the person using the string. It is just predicting the next likely pieces of interface. It has the rules of UX that the question UX come from. This is the reason why the rule I have created, which is right there, and I will give you access to it. But this rule isn't saying you do not implement warning dialogues, because it will be stupid. We will need warning dialogue inside an app. But the thing is that for every guardrail, I'm sorry for the accents, you might have noticed in the first seconds while I was speaking that I'm not an English speaker. So I was saying that for every guardrail the model wants to add, it has to answer one question first. Is the risk is real? And forcing the model to make this step back is like really a good reason and a good way to avoid this kind of shitty UX that are making you losing a lot of time. It's not really useful to go across the entire rule, but I have to say that this is very effective because I'm using it since I think 2 months, and since 2 months the number of time where this kind of issues that seems just stupid in the first place, but do have real reason, have, like I've said, described, decrease a lot. And as I've said, it makes more than 2 months that I'm using it. So every time that I am seeing a new variant of the issues, I am adding this one to every time that the error has been manifesting it. And along the way, the lists becoming a bit more long, but it is just killing all of the error you could be facing. And for like pretty much every set of rule I'm using inside my knowledge bases, this is the method I've been using, which is I'm noticing a pattern, I understand what's the cause, and then I'm just documenting every time that I'm facing it, and then there is a moment when you just reach the point where there is enough documentation for the model to not do the error once again. And like I've said, it will never avoid the manual work that you need to do, but it will save you a lot of time dealing with these kind of stupid issues. The second pattern I've noticed is that Claude will always multiply options and affordance for a single intention. I was creating this screen inside my app, so people need a way to share the link of their orders because they need every people that are taking care of them being able to access the information that they have. So I need a way to create a sharing link, which I ask Claude to generate, and then I access to this sheet. And as you can see, there is nothing that is a nonsense right there, but this isn't optimal because when you want to share the profile, you need to choose the access mode, so how people will be able to edit the information or only viewing them, and then how long will the link last. And then only once that you have selected those two options, you can generate the link. And the trap here is that none of these options are useless. Limiting how long a link lasts and granting edit access, those are real feature and I asked for. But the problem isn't that this feature are existing, it is their status. The model has turned them into mandatory steps, as we've seen. So the reason is that the model can't tell a useful option from a forced gate. So it is putting everything on the same level. The model will never step back to see that sharing is supposed to take 1 second. Knowing a setting should be a quiet default instead of a question means ranking what matters to the person. And ranking is exactly what a model isn't able to do. So my rule isn't do fewer options because actually there isn't any option that we doesn't need right there. But my rule is that for everything the model is about to put on the screen, he has to ask one question: should this block the road or wait quietly until it's needed? Here is the entire rule. Once again, it's not very useful to read it entirely, but it is pretty efficient, and I don't think that I haven't had a lot of behavior inside the rule, but the reason is it was pretty effective in the first place because I know it's been a long time that I've been working with it. And so here is the before and the after. I've gave Claude this observation. The UX that has been created was this one. So still wanted to create this thing, and then so he automatically copied the link. That isn't something that we needed. I would have changed that, but the principle is that when I am clicking on this thing, I already have the link that this is what I've asked for, and then if I want to access to those information that were, like I've said, useful but do not have to be mandatory and blocking you to generate the link that you need, you still have the option to access them, but right there. This is definitely a way better UX, and this is what this rule is allowing you to do. So that's it for those two major patterns that were always hitting me when I was trying to ship UX with Claude. I'm using Claude, but I think that it is the same thing with the person using Codex and DeepSeek. I will be very curious to know if these models are suffering from the same pattern, because I've been using Claude since I think 4 months, and I do not really know if if Codex is better at UX or anything. Anyway, the two rules, the entire two rules are available on my website, and I am also publishing a written version of this video, because as I've said, I'm not an English native speaker, and I think you don't need me to understand that. So if you wasn't able to understand anything of what I've said, the written version is on my website, and there is all the resources I've used during the video on the website too. I think that's it, and we'll be really curious if other persons are using it and are able to make written about it.